Now, I'm keen to talk to you a little bit about COP, a big climate change summit that we're going to be seeing in Egypt. Rishi Sunak has said today he wants to see the UK made a green energy superpower. But, of course, we know that the government is, they say, prioritising offshore wind, as Oliver Dowden was saying, rather than allowing new onshore wind farms to be built. Do you have sympathy with people who may not want to see onshore wind near where they live?
Let me come to that, but let me start with the big picture. The big picture here, Sophie, for the country and the world, is that the UN has told us that the promises made in Glasgow haven't been kept. We're heading for 2.8 degrees of global warming, and obviously we're also in the midst of a global energy crisis. Now, the message that Labour would be taking to COP27, and that I will be taking at the end of this coming week when I go, is that it is now cheaper to save the world than to destroy it. And what do I mean by that? I mean that renewable power, solar, wind and other forms of zero carbon energy are cheaper than fossil fuels. And this matters so much, Sophie, because it means that at home and abroad we need to be all in on those renewable and zero carbon alternatives. Now that takes me to onshore wind. It is terrible what Oliver Dowden was saying on your programme earlier. He actually made some important news by saying the government was committing to carrying on with the ban on onshore wind that has been in place for the last 7 years. For your viewers at home, Sophie, that is driving up their bills. It's already driven up their bills by something like £100. It will continue to drive up their bills by £15 billion between now and 2030 if this ban remains in place. So the government is saying no to the cheapest, cleanest form of power. And by the way, it's going back on a promise that Jacob Rees-Mogg made in the brief period when he was the business secretary, where he said that they would bring the consenting regime for onshore wind in line with other infrastructure. It makes no sense, and it makes a complete joke, frankly, of Rishi Sunak, the man who couldn't even decide whether he was going to go to COP27. It makes a complete joke of the idea that he's somehow a leader on clean energy.